Welcome to session 2 of our CENTURO training module. Today we're going to talk about what CENTURO is. In session 3, we're going to jump into how it works. And session 4 is going to be a kind of a data review showing how we know it works. So when we think about what is CENTURO, right? It is a next generation nitrification inhibitor. That's when you boil everything down. It is a purpose-built product to inhibit nitrification. It's currently labeled for anhydrous ammonia and UAN. It's very effective and it's very flexible. So some of the things that we know that it does is really some of the stuff we've covered in session 1, right? We know it reduces nitrate leaching, slows denitrification loss, optimizes yield and nutrient use efficiency. Those are boxes you have to check to be a nitrification inhibitor. And so those boxes are certainly checked. A couple of the things that I think are important to call out here is the fact that this product is gentle on equipment. It's easy to transport, easy to use, as well as easy to store. And there's some differentiation there between other things on the market. And we'll kind of get into that here at the end of the session about the fact that, this product was really built by design to meet some of the requests from customers in this space within the industry. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But before we get any further, I think in many cases we look at herbicides and fungicides, we see trade names like as in CENTURO, but oftentimes we really want to dive into the active ingredient and kind of that tells the story about what the product is. And in this case, it is a new patented molecule called pronitridine. So CENTURO is a trade name, pronitridine is the active ingredient that really makes up CENTURO. You'll see here it's labeled for use in ammonia, UAN, and manure. When we talk about usage rates, for anhydrous ammonia, that's 5 gallons per ton. For UAN, that's 1.5 to 2.5 gallons per ton. And that rate really depends on how far away from black layer you're making the UAN application. So just for reference, the further from black layer that you are, that's where we're going to recommend that higher 2.5 gallon per ton rate. And then vice versa, as you get closer to black layer, we would pull that recommendation down to the 1.5 gallon per ton rate. So another call out here is that you'll see that with anhydrous and UAN, our rate structure is per ton. And so we are treating the ton, not the acre. That is a bit of a differentiation point between CENTURO and some of the other stuff on the market. When we get into some of the technical specs, this is where that built by design conversation is taken a step further. And so when we look at the appearance of this product, it is a clear liquid. Stability is very good. We've got stable storage for 2 years. We've also got stability within ammonia for 2 years. Good warm weather stability as well as cold weather stability. And so as we think about getting into this fall anhydrous season, as everybody knows, as you get to the tail end of that, things start to get cold, right? And so not worrying about it freezing until it gets really, really cold is important. And so we've got a freezing point of CENTURO at below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. And so again, something else that is kind of a call out as it was built for this. And those are some of the stipulations that we wanted to try to hit and boxes we wanted to try to check with CENTURO. And so good freezing point with this product. Another one that we briefly mentioned already is corrosion. And so nobody wants corrosion when we think about utilizing anhydrous applications or UAN applications. This product is gentle on equipment, reduces downtime, minimizes equipment costs, right? Those things, because it is not corrosive. And I think a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? As you see on the left-hand side of your screen here, you'll see a piece of sheet metal that has been placed in anhydrous ammonia and CENTURO for 18 months. And you see 0 corrosion. And so, again, picture's worth 1,000 words, right? It is not corrosive, and that's certainly an important call out here for this versus a lot of other stuff on the market. So when we start to dive into what really pronitridine is, some of the key call outs about pronitridine itself, the active ingredient in CENTURO, is that it is patented. So it's a novel or a brand new molecule. It's also a registered nitrification inhibitor by the EPA. It's also recognized as a nitrification inhibitor by AFCO, and that's a third-party organization that does just scientific data review to basically say, hey, is this doing what we say it's doing or not? and it is recognized by them as being a nitrification inhibitor. Going back to the EPA registered nitrification inhibitor list, for those of you that have ever looked at it, it's a short list, and CENTURO is on it. So that's an important call out about the fact that we know it functions as a nitrification inhibitor. So as you look at all these brand new molecules here at kind of the middle or the bottom of the screen, a couple important call outs would be that, you know, all these have long chains and there is polarity associated with those chains, which causes a partial positive charge to be exhibited by the molecules. And this is important when we think about soils. So as many of you all know, soils have a slight negative charge through the CEC, or the cation exchange capacity. And so this slight positive charge allows the active ingredient pronitrogene to be adhered to that CEC so that the active ingredient itself is not leached from the soil profile. And certainly if we're trying to keep the nitrogen within the soil profile or in that root zone, we do not want to leach the active ingredient beyond that, because that would certainly be a negative impact, right? So it is we do reduce leaching because of that positive charge. You know, another thing that I think is important to call out here is that this product is not a blended chemistry. This is not a blend of a couple different things. This is a reacted chemistry. It's not a simple process to get pronitrogene. There are several different ratios of different ingredients that have to be added at very specific times. You've got to manipulate the temperatures for those different reactions to occur correctly. You got to manipulate the pH at different stages of those reactions. You've got to do all that the correct way to get pronitrogene. And so this is a reacted chemistry. It is not a blend, and that's an important call out, as I do believe there is kind of a misnomer on the market about that. This is a reacted chemistry, and it's not just a simple process to get the active ingredient pronitrogene. Now, I'm going to wrap up here session 2 with this, and this is a slide really depicting that CENTURO is purposeful by design. And when we talk about being purposeful by design, you know, certainly the first thing you have to do is actually be a nitrification inhibitor. And you see that here on this first line, right? It is an efficient nitrification inhibitor. So we've got that box checked. And then as you start to go down through this, there are other things that CENTURO was built to accomplish and improve upon some of the things that already exist within this space in the industry. And that's like reduced active ingredient leaching, a nice long half-life within the soil. We've got a minimal negative impact to soil biology. We'll talk more about this in session 3, but CENTURO itself is called bacteriostatic because it has a minimal negative impact to that soil biology that we all know is so important. It's also non-corrosive, it's water soluble, and it has that low freezing point. So again, this really is that next generation nitrification inhibitor that was built by design to accommodate some of the requests that were received from the customer base about nitrification inhibitors in the market. So again, it really is built by design, and I think that's a very important call out here. So appreciate you joining me for session 2. Look forward to seeing you in session 3, where we really dive into how pronitrogene or CENTURO actually works as a nitrification inhibitor. Thanks. Look forward to it.